Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody had their refreshments and have refreshed your minds. I, for one, am very excited to learn what the next speaker has to say about the Excel tips. I'd like to call CA Kavita ma'am to escort CA Venugopal sir onto the stage. Welcome to you, sir. My manager always says, if you have to excel at work, you have to work on your Excel. Excel is an ocean in itself. The deeper you dive in, the more things you get to learn. Learning Excel, in my opinion, is never ending because every day you work on it and you get to discover new things. To make our lives simpler, we have CA Venugopal G, who will help us to play with Excel, which helps in workings of bank branch audit. Before we begin with the session, I'd like to take this privilege of introducing CA Venugopal G. CA Venugopal G is a partner in Venu and Vinay Chartered Accountants. He qualified in the year 2002 by securing AIR 45. He is also a certified information security auditor. He has completed certificate courses from the institute like DISA and other courses on business valuation, internal auditing, fraud detection, and forensic accounting. He has also completed a one-year course from IIM on data analysis and business intelligence. He is an active speaker at the institute. He has addressed many forums on bank branch audit for both members and students. He has conducted hands-on workshop for members on use of Excel in the field of bank branch audit. He has developed many free Excel-based utilities like JSON Reader, JSON File Creator, JSTN Validator, GST Impact Reader, which assist in GST compliance. He is not only a hands-on coder, but database design reviewer also. His major areas of practice include design and development of internal controls and process documentation, GST implementation, and integration of accounts and return filing utilities. He also consults for ERP implementation or migration. He also provides management consultancy for business analysis and growth and design of management information systems. He played a key role in development and managing of cloud applications like TaxSmile, Insta Financials. Without further ado, let us begin the session. The stage is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. Had your tea, coffee. So now we are waiting for 6 o'clock. All right. So from morning you've been listening various sessions on bank branch audit. So how confident you are now going ahead, taking up the bank audit? Yes, no, maybe. How many of you are doing the audit for the first time? Bank audit? Okay, quite a few. How many of you have done branch audit earlier last year or okay, previous years you have done? Very good. How many of you have done at least some audit in your life? Internal audit, stock audit, statutory audit, in tax audit? Banks or anywhere, you are aware of audit. How many of you have not done anything? First time fresher? Oh, very good. Okay, so quite a few. All right. So the mix of people who are in the class is the exact representative of the bank branch audit. When you are going for the bank branch, so you have your senior who has done the audit of the bank earlier, maybe, or he is also coming first time with you to the bank, but he has some audit or knowledge of the audit. But definitely your principal is there. You know the only confidence you have in bank branch audit? Any guess? You are not the one who is signing. Nothing is to lose. Right? All right. But however, one thing you should definitely know is you are the one who is doing the audit. And who is doing the audit? You are only the one who is doing the audit. And if I am the principal, what am I doing? I'll say, okay, go do this and come. You said, okay, sir, that's done. Oh, is it very good? Okay, go do this and come. And finally, yes, I did all this. Okay, give me the paper, I'll sign. So I am only doing signing. I am relying upon the work of an expert. Work done by the expert. And the expert is here raising the hand. Nangen gottilla. All right. However, knowing the terminologies and asking various reports, questions is very important. All right. That's what you've been learning here from the morning. Now, when you hit the ground, there's a different thing. Like when you see a big advertisement, 25.7 kilometers per liter mileage car. But when that rubber hits the road, only then you will know it is 13. Then you will say, sir, city drive. When you go on a long drive, some 18, 19, he'll say, sir, that is on some standard test condition. You should not, on a highway, you should not go beyond 70 kilometers. Then it will give you that mileage. So like this, whatever you have studied from the morning, once when you go to the bank branch, then you are with the notebook, one red color pen, one green color pen, one blue color pen, like looking at your boss face. Okay, now what? I'm ready. Tell me what do you want me to do? All right. How many of you are having laptops or using laptops at work? Carry the laptop to the bank. Now, very essential. Otherwise, you need to ask the branch to provide one system, either of it. Definitely all banks will give you at least one system would be allocated for the auditors. So make sure you take that system and start working. What's the objective of an audit? What's the objective of any audit? Giving an opinion. And the opinion states the financial statements are true and fair, right? So that's what the objective of the audit. And session we are going to see what is that you should do or what is that you should be actually considering in doing the work on the ground, right? So I'll give you some conceptual, very little, then we will get on to the practical, how the data will be and what you have to do. So what I'll be covering is what is the scope of the audit, what are the risk and responsibilities associated. There are various things, physically something you have to do, system based only something you have to do, something will be mixed. We'll just look at all of those things, right? So broadly, if you see the scope of the bank branch audit, on the screen, is it visible? Person sitting in the bank, visible, is it? Kind of, no? For me also it's not visible, great. But there are so many things you have to do. You know, they will be giving you some 25-30 certificates. So at least your principal would be making some 200 to 250 signatures for in each branch. So that many signatures he will do. Either his signature will become perfect or it will become shortened. So you have to do workings for all those certificates. Underlying data for all those certificates have to be prepared as an audit working paper. So your first and foremost thing which you have to do before the start of the audit is knowing what is there on the screen, because this is what you will have to do. Of course, I think this recording would be available, this material would be available for you to go through later. But whatever is there on the screen is actually what you have to do. There's a main audit report, there's a tax audit report and annexures, LFAR and its annexures. then an MOC, financial statements that you will be certifying, then the IRAC norm, Basel norms. I only given as returns. There are lots of returns, certificates, all those things you will be signing it. So technically what you are seeing on the screen will be printed. Sir, okay, the guy last when I said whatever is the screen, is it all visible, readable? You'll say, yeah. Is it visible at least now? Okay. So there are a host of information which you will have to sign. So that is where I am saying this screenshot is very important, that you are going to sign all of this. Make sure better at least be aware of the terminologies. If not 100%, 70% of what you are seeing on the screen should be done by you. Okay, now after attending one day bank branch audit, don't tell that like I don't know. It's like you've been soldier for 15 years. When the time of war comes, it's like, oh, I don't know how to hold the sword. Yeah. So you got to do this. This is what you'll be doing. So better learn this terminology. I'll not get into the risk and responsibility. So firstly, we all think that everything is system driven. Data is all in the CBS and there cannot be any errors and there are super controls. But still there is a role of human beings. I'll give you one classic example. How many of you have done the statutory audits? All right. In the stat audit, we'll give SA 700 audit report. How do we prepare that? There are some two keys called and then change the year. If it's the first time client, copy some SA 700, change the name. If different partner, change the name. So those who did not raise the hand, you can turn, is this how you do? You can check. And the answer is yes. All right. Even the banks, they issue a sanction letter. Whenever a loan has to be sanctioned, they take various documents and they issue a sanction letter. Today, many things are getting automated. Over the period, it's getting automated. In fact, when I was doing my apprenticeship, even there was no computers. It was all used to be a huge ledgers and everything was manual. We used to go with the calculators. We never required computers then. So over a period there was an automation. So if I have sanctioned you a working capital loan, some other person will come, okay, he says, okay, he needs a working capital loan. Now he will take the format of the previous working capital loan, he will put it and starts doing the changes and finally says, okay, so much loan, so much terms. It's like if you ask an accountant how to pass an entry in Tally, he says, it's okay, go to previous entry, press Alt 2, change the date, change the ledger name, change the amount, change the narration, Control A. So that's done. Correct, no? Like that, everything gets changed. So there's a scope for errors that happen. Certain types of loans which are system generated. Not sure how many of you have sufficient balances in your account other than the stipend fees. But once you log into ICICI, HDFC or banks, suddenly some pop-up will come. You're eligible for some 3 lakh instant loans. So certain system generated loans, everything would be there where the process, everything gets done there. But all the business loan, everything will be, our sanction is issued by the branch manager. So still there is a element of manual thing that exists. Now, if I issue a sanction ticket saying that the interest rate is at 11%, which is there in Word document. Now, will system understand that? No. There is a software. Someone has to go to that software and do a data entry. In the data entry, instead of 11.4%, it became 11.04. What will happen? Interest will be charged at 11.04. Yes or no? Or client has asked for a moratorium of 3 months. Someone has, there will be, he selected 3, on the right side drop down, instead of months he selected quarters. So up to 3 quarters, it thinks that my principal EMI will start after 9 months, right? So even if 6 months they have not paid, it will not show as NPA because nothing is due for payment, correct? There would be a stock statement which is linked with a drawing power. Now, based on type of securities that are given, something where there is a primary security would be a building or something would have been given collateral. Secondary would be stock, or in some case it's only purely stock and book debts, no other security that is there. So there is a margin attached to it. Not necessary that 25% is the margin for stock and 40% for the debts. If the client is good, client relationship is good, that can be changed. By the way, everything can be changed. It's a negotiable. And is interest rate same for everyone, all the customers in the bank? Yes or no? Why no? Why not same interest rate for everyone? Credit? Credit worthiness, what does that mean? So someone who has a higher credit worthiness, a good CIBIL score, he will get a lower interest rate. Why should that happen? Why should he get a lower interest rate? Is good, might be good at repayment. The chance of default is less. So let us give a rebate because my risk is lower. Right. So same industry, same amount of loan, same class of borrowers, everything, still the rate of interest would vary. All these are manual and which is entered into the system. Once it is entered into the system, I should tell you reasonably or 99.99% accuracy that nothing can go wrong. What can go wrong is at the time you are doing the data entry into the system. It's like on the exam hall, you are not allowed computers, but you are allowed calculators. So while doing some small formula, you on the paper you have written 1713, but on the calculator you have entered as 1731 and you did something. Calculator will not give you a wrong answer because you entered a wrong thing there. You forced to copy the next step as a wrong in your answer sheet, correct? So where is the mistake happening? Is it the calculator or is it on the paper? Actually neither both. But when it got translated from that physical paper to the calculator, there was a translation error. All physical papers that are there which has a sanction ticket, there will be a translation error. And by the way, error is human. So it's like if you're a human being, you'll make mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, then you're a robot or you're not doing anything. So there is a chance that the errors that happen. In the bank, you are giving an assurance in your audit report, you will give you an assurance that you have complied with all ICA issued standards. I know accounting standards, but audit standards, forgot some SA number, correct? So SA 420. So I'll open the book and see. And the documents which you are signing are free from material misstatement and everything is showing true and fair view. So the transactions are well within the branch powers. By the way, today when you're going to do an audit of a branch, you're physically going to the branch, but actually physically branch exists, okay? There's no doubt in it. Virtually, Branch is a myth. Virtually branch is a myth. You all have bank accounts. And post your articleship, it got opened with the whichever is the branch your office has. You have a bank account in the branch. To withdraw money, do you necessarily go to the branch and withdraw? No. So you can walk into any ATM and withdraw. If no ATM, you can walk into any other branch of that bank and withdraw. Yes or no? Yes, no, maybe. So you are a customer of a bank or a branch? Bank, okay. Assuming they have given you, the branch has given you education loan, but that branch is far off. You will not go to that branch to deposit the money. You can walk into any branch and deposit money to repay that loan. Permitted? Yes, no, maybe. Today, ATM machines accept money. You can deposit money. Like you withdraw, you can also deposit money. Correct? So if a customer is walking into a branch, is he a customer of the branch? Maybe. He's a customer of the bank. There's no doubt. Okay. Let's say you will be verifying the loans have been sanctioned from that branch. Okay, I'll verify the branch. Documents. Do you think that the branch has any document? After the bank sanctions the loan, it goes to a central place called RSCPC, centralized place, where all the documents are stored, so that there are no accidental risks that happens and nothing happens to the documents. So branch also doesn't have documents. Okay. No, that manager who is sitting there, he is the one who is sanctioning, so I should check with the powers because that's what he says. Today, everything is centralized. Branch manager has a power to sanction 10 lakhs. Customer is coming for 1 crore, 50 lakhs, 20 lakhs. All that he will do is collect the documents, send it to head office for approval. Now, what's happening at the branch? Courier job. Primary verification. You are going once in a year. So, you are doing an audit of a branch, but what is there in that branch? Neither the customer is, when I say customer, both borrower and the depositor doesn't belong to that branch. Manager gets rotated, changed once in a year. So he will never even remember. You walk into the branch whether you are customer of that branch or not. So you have to go introduce, sir, I have an account with your branch for 13 years. He'll say, very good, please come and sit. Now, inside of this, like as in the earlier session, sir said, branch audit might go, but 20 years, same statement, every year something will continue. But slowly the branch is actually getting diluted. Now, inside of this statement, it is virtually not a branch, it's all part of the bank, but physically a branch exists. All that you are doing is the loans deposits associated to that particular branch is what you are verifying. Technically, you can sit in any branch and conduct the branch audit. Technically. However, there are some papers you should definitely need to visit into the branch and do it, but predominantly you should be able to do it. And that's what we are going to see in a while, right? So there are the sources of data. There is a physical data and system data. So I've given what are the physical items that are available in the branch, and there are data which is there in the software and some data which is outside the software. Say they will have a separate software to which can handle the locker rent. They might have a separate software to handle the Swift system. They would have a separate software to handle the BG, LCS commissions that are issued. So Sometimes the branches different banks will have different softwares, right? And everything is called as CBS. So it is connected to one core. So that's why it's called CBS. So if you have to understand the software, you got to understand what is the CBS. There's a core. So basically there's a central server and different types of servers connected to that central server. That is why we call it as a CBS, core banking software. Typically each one is a separate server. Each one is separate modules. And if I have to give the simplest possible example, like your Tally as an accounting software, where your application data, everything is integrated to one part, but there you will see ATM related transactions will be a different server. There will be a central switch which will be connecting and processing thing. There are different modules, different applications, all are interconnected. So this is a typical picture. It's only for you to show you and scare you. So nothing to do with the bank branch audit. There are various reports that you should be aware of when you go to the branch audit. Each branch has a separate software. It could be developed by Infosys, it could be developed by say FlexCube, or different SBI has their own software over a period. Each software has key reports. Again, going back to the simple example, when a tally data is given, what will you do first? You will press B, you'll see some reports. Or you'll see DAC, cash balance, bank balance, right? DAL, select some ledger, and press Alt B, see bill wise outstanding, certain things. So there are certain quick screenshots you take to get a glance of it, right? So likewise, when you go to the bank, the first and foremost thing you should also ask is, how do I see the balance sheet, P&L, or a customer ledger? Again, customer ledgers are two different formats. Term loans in different screens would be there. Deposit accounts, OD accounts will be in a different scale. SB account, generally OCC, cash credit accounts, the functionality behavior, since the interest has to be applied on a daily rate. So current account, SB accounts and the OCC, so though assets and liability has a different module, a different screen to see. And once you enter a number there is a short window which is quickly says the closing balance information, or there is a different key when you press, it will give you the master information. Like in Tally, when you select a ledger, when you press Control Enter, it will directly take you to the ledger alteration screen or the master screen. Or when you select the ledger, it will below immediately shows the running closing balance. So each screens you have a different information. So what you have to ask the branch, and without any hesitation, saying that I don't know anything, can you just tell me which are the buttons I have to hit to see P&L, balance sheet, trial balance, customer ledger, or if I have to query a customer ledger, how do I see? You should ask them. And they will be telling you should make note of it. And most importantly, even before this, what is that you should ask? Which is the application I have to click for the CBS to open? There are many applications. And after it opens, what is the username and password? Right? So earlier session again, sir was saying passwords are very sacred. What do you know? What do you mean by password? Pass that word. So you'll write it password and put it note stick on the notebook, laptop, wherever you can, or on the screen. So this is something you have to ask. They will create you a login. You have to take that login and ask. So forget the right side, that report code in FlexiCube. Forget, you don't need to know. If you are using FlexiCube, you enter this, it will, otherwise at least you can ask, how do I see loan balance, customer wise balance, each thing you can actually ask this, and whatever be the accounting software they have, they will tell you this is what you have to do, right? So I have actually put the different screens. This is for FlexCube. And for Finacle, if someone is using Finacle, these are the report codes. So they are all those words you are seeing, HLAGCP. So basically they are like the code name, report names. So there are various reports. Okay. Then you will get into actual Excel work. Why Excel? Because it's handy. You know, you cannot take any other software into the bank. They will not permit you. And most of the times bank might not have Excel because they will use open office. So there would be an open office that would be there. If you are working on the branch system, the chance that there would be an Excel or there would be an open office, but open office functions are also same like an Excel, so nothing to worry. They will not permit you to put a pen drive and copy the data. But whatever the information you need, they will create a folder, you can put it into the shared folder. From the manager login, they will email where you can work on the data, and you can again email it back, put it back into the local server. Today, most branches have stopped the concept of preparing audit report. Earlier, all the audit report, LFR, tax audit, annexures, everything were prepared on our system, our stationery. We used to prepare them in an Excel, Word, print it. But today, even for that, there is a screen. You will have to do actually data entry there on the screen. So for LFR, the LFR format would be there. For each question, you will have to type out the answer, copy paste and put it. So you got to definitely have your workings should go back to the branch system, because you will actually paste your observations into the application of the branch. So you need to also know how to send this mail, copy the Word report, all those things. Those are things you need to know. Very important thing in the bank branch audit you should know is how to convert a CSV files, .gz files or CSV files or PDF files into an Excel. Next, once the data comes, data is always into one single column. How do you split the data or text into the columns? Simple, some conditional formatting you should be able to know. Most of the time the branch system would have a format of DD, DDYY. Month will be first, date would be the later. If you can change the format to DD, 3Ms and YY. If I give 050422, what does that mean? 5th April, I think it is 4th May 2022. Could be anything. Depends on the system date configuration. You can always change that M into 3Ms. The moment you put it 3Ms, at least you will be knowing what is the date. All right. That configuration can be changed. Recommended to put it to DD, 3Ms and YY. You should be knowing pivot tables. Of course, this is a tech generation. So I'm presuming whatever is there on the screen, you're aware of. Writing a simple if formula, putting a pivot tables, using VLOOKUPs, all those things you would be aware of. Yeah. But however, as a part of the session, I'll do a quick demo so that how you can make use of what you know, you'll get an idea. Any of you do not know anything in this, whatever which is there on the screen, then at least I can share a little detail in that. Otherwise, can do a quick demo. So I'm presuming then you're all experts in Excel. Then there are a lot of shortcut keys. I always recommend. Yes, ma'am. Concatenation. Okay. Try using keyboard shortcuts. It will be faster. So try avoiding the mouse to the extent possible. When you use the keyboard, you will be able to do things faster. So there are various shortcuts and certain shortcuts which we will be using while doing is what I've put. Otherwise, there's a host, some 1,000 shortcut keys would be there. But what is required day-to-day basis is there. And don't worry, this recording is there. You can always take that screenshot of this and start practicing for yourself. So converting the text into Excel, either it will be Excel file, text files, PDF files. So you dump all the data, convert it into an Excel file. Make sure you always have a version control, copy of the data. Have a proper nomenclature. That steps to convert in Excel is what I have written. Step one by one, I'll explain you practically again. But what I again commonly see, in most of the times, you will have the common name of an Excel file is new workbook. And the common name inside when I open the workbook is sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. Next day when you open, you yourself don't know in which sheet I have shared the data, saved the data, right? So bring the habit, bring the practice of having a proper nomenclature. Conditional formatting is there. It will help you to highlight the duplicates. It will help you to sort the data. It will, on a condition, it will help you to highlight it. So brush up your skills on conditional formatting, very useful in the bank audit. Knowing pivot tables, must and essential. So without this, trust me, you should not be, whatever which I am showing on the screen, without knowing that, if you are doing the bank branch audit, you are not doing justice. All right. Simple if formula, very essential, very much required, because while I am demonstrating, I will be telling you why we would be needing the if condition. VLOOKUP, exact match, nearest match, both are very important. Graph, knowing how to prepare a graph is also very important. Like you will end up preparing a P&L account for 12 months, balance sheet for 12 months. And you can simply apply a graph. As I select each expenditure, everything, I'll be knowing what is the trend, how is moving. In fact, in the graph which you are seeing here, you can see spikes in between. So basically, if I take a value of a deposit 1 week before the quarter end, 1 week after the quarter end, generally the banks would try to ensure the good business on the quarter end. And what's the business of the bank? Lending advances and accepting deposits. And how do you say this branch is good, big, or branch manager is good? More deposits, more advances. So most of the branches, like my branch will be calling on 23rd, 24th. Sir, year end, month end is coming, quarter end is coming. Please tell your clients to keep some 3 crores, 4 crores deposit. After first week, they can withdraw, don't worry. So their performance is always seen on a reported figure, right? It's like you do excellent studies, but in the exam hall, you failed to do it perfectly. You got your result, right? And you managed to get 41, 51. People always perceive, okay, this is where you are. That report card is there for the lifetime. That's what people will be also noticing. So what is there, if I have to ascertain the performance of the branch, I will see what is the published numbers. Quarter, I will be publishing. Every quarter, if I ensure whole of 28 days, nothing, but end of the quarter, suddenly some 20 crores I'll get deposit, I'll give you loan against deposit to someone. So the business of the branch went up, right? So you got to also use graphs to get the proper information. Okay. So you also have to prepare the branch profile, snapshot of the branch profile, how the branch is doing for advances, deposits, contingent liabilities, everything you will have to prepare. Financial statements, verify the opening balances because there would be an MOC that needs to be passed. So you also have to prepare the balance sheet month over month, year over year. Certain grouping of the data would be required to condense the data and watch it quickly. You also need to know how to prepare a cluster and group the data. So preparing the data in a T-shaped financials will help you. When I say T-shaped financials, there will be a huge list of the information, but you just consolidate and pick whatever is required. So you will re-prepare the balance sheet the way in which you understand, and a quick look of it, you will understand, okay, this is what the balance sheet is. So you will re-prepare the balance sheet. I am saying it again, you will re-prepare the balance sheet P&L in a simple format so that you can understand. Now, let me get into the practicals parallelly. Let's say this is the balance sheet of a branch. Okay. Now, this is already actually converted. Okay. So here is the balance sheet. What are you trying to understand this? There are so many cells. How many cells are there? In between some blanks are there, right? Versus this, at least this seems to be some reasonably you can understand, right? So then you will say, okay, the best thing is, can I apply a filter and let me only take the data which is where there are values. Now, is it making some sense? A little bit, because I'm asking you have to say something. All right. So let us start with analyzing this balance sheet itself. You can see there are some schedule 1, schedule 2, there are some schedules. Yeah, some information, some schedules is there. You actually don't know, but you can clearly see there is some schedule. Yeah. And you have something called C and D. What can probably C and D could be? Credit and debit. Such a stupid questions I'm asking, right? So let us decode this in a simplest, fastest way. So all that I am doing is I'm creating, we call this as helper columns. So asset and liability. So if it is C, I'll call it as asset. Yeah? Yes or no? Whatever you say. C is asset, is it? Credits are all your assets. So I've just used one formula, and person at the back, you should always say, sir, not visible. Only when you say not visible, then I can do something, no? So we have just written a simple formula saying if my A2, what is my A2? Is C. If it is C, we say make it as liability. If it is C, so it is a simple formula. If you can see a logical test, then if it is C, it is a liability, else it is an asset, right? So this is what we said, do it. So I just copy this here. So it automatically prepared some asset and liability. All right. Now there is some inner column, outer column. I am not really sure whether this is neatly formatted by my team or not. Okay. Now let us see what is required. You only require where there is a value. If there is no value, you don't want it. So if this is blank, you don't want it. You want to ignore it. Else you want to consider this. Yeah. So we just quickly did something, and now let's put a pivot of it. So insert pivot alt DP, you can put a pivot of it, and quickly we'll see what is this showing. So generally in the pivot, the rows, it's a matrix. Rows means which is there on the left side, columns means something which is on the top, values means the data which is there in the center. Always recommended you shall change the pivot to field selection. So because there will be a lot of columns, so it's easy to handle it. So I'm quickly putting my in the filter, is it required or not? So I'm only taking values which are considered. Then I am taking assets and liabilities in my column, and whatever is the values I am taking into the value. So if you are getting it as count, you can just quickly select that and say that, okay, I want the sum of it. In the value field settings, you can change it to sum. And the more importantly, what is the schedule? Which schedule is this? There are various schedules and the nomenclature. So quickly, if you can see this, now something we could easily make out. We can say that data which did not make sense for a moment, I can say that, okay, this is a balance sheet with 1 crore 30 lakhs, or yeah, 130 crores 9 lakhs 78,000. So you could now make sense what that is, and you can sort so by your highest to lowest. So schedule 9 obviously maybe your advances, or yeah, there are different types of advances. Now you can see these are the advances that the branch is having. So you can sort the data. Now does this make some sense now? So instead of schedules, like instead of schedule 9, you can always now call the schedules as the way you want. So you can quickly make an assumptions sheet. This is the schedule number, and what is the name you want to call it as. Let's say you want to call it as advances, and schedule 5B is interbranch. You can create your name. You can create your name, and you can give a name to it. Like I'm selecting this on the, let me zoom this. So on the right side corner, you can see something as E8. Yeah. So instead of E8, I'm just giving a name to it. My schedule group name. So it's always easy to actually use what this data is when you are using it. And sheet 1 not acceptable. So you can make it as your assumptions sheet, and your sheet 1 to pivot of balance sheet. And in your balance sheet, I can now say what is this schedule name. So I am saying look up this schedule name in your schedule group name. This is what we have created. So, and sometimes you will hit an error because I have not given anything. I'm saying if there is any error, or I wouldn't have created the schedule name, I'm saying use the same thing. So now look at this. So in my pivot, this is right now showing schedule 9. So let me refresh it and get my, instead of the nomenclature, I will get my schedule name. Can you see that automatically? You can see this as advance. So you can see this as advance interbranch, right? So always know how to freeze the data. Let's say this is schedule 3. Now you know schedule 3 is deposits. All that now I have to do is in my assumptions, I will say schedule 3 means deposits. So back, visible now? So schedule 3 is deposits. So all that I entered there and I refresh this. So my schedule 3 has gone off. I don't know where it has gone. Yeah, it's here, deposits. Right. So now does this data makes more sense to you? Now looking at this data, does it give you more sense? So you have deposits 85 crores and 63 lakhs advances, 63 crores advances, 60 crores interbranch. So is it giving more inference of the data? Or was the earlier data itself was big, is good? So at least 4 pages would be there. So my audit working paper file will increase by another 4 pages. In which data you have confidence now? At least when you're analyzing, you can print this, start creating working papers under this. Yes, no, maybe. Though we have just prepared a financial statement from this, we have necessarily used different Excel information. We used VLOOKUP, we used pivot tables, we used an if formula. Now without all of that, you will not end up reaching here. Clear? Yeah. So do you agree that the Excel skills will be essential? Yes. So any doubts in whatever I have done? Any formula which you have a doubt, you want to see it or ask? Anyone? Recording ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. So prepare a balance sheet. In the balance sheet other than advances and deposits. So assuming in the balance sheet I have given everything as a sundry assets. Do a breakup of it, or sundry liabilities. Do further break of it, because entire balance sheet you have to sign, your principal has to sign. So one team can get into deposits, one team can get into advance. When I say one team means one person, so can do the advances. So list out other than advance and deposits what are there, that sundry assets, sundry liabilities, do a linking of it. And the advances, prepare the detailed workflow. For example, in this current case where you have seen advance as 63 crores, where it has term loans, cash credit, everything, you will have customer wise listing of it. You will have customer wise listing of it. And the customer wise listing you will again get before closing and after closing. When I say before, the way it is before closing is they would be applying the interest. Interest accrued and due, not due, again would be parked into some ledgers. All that your job is to make sure you prepare schedules. Schedules will match to it. So prepare schedules, take the data from schedules, look at the data which is there in the balance sheet, whether it's matching or not, try doing it. Even deposits, different types of deposits, do a reconciliation. Similarly, prepare P&L account, simple interest income, interest expenditure, previous year, current year, put it in a simple way, first complete that. Once you do it, your the confidence on the data which you are working goes up. Then you can actually ask more questions. When you know something, then you can probe further. So try to simplify the data by condensing and putting it into pivots, etc. Let me also show you the how to convert the data into Excel. So most of the times when you see a loan file, you will be, there are different types of loan files that would be available. So different softwares have just generated different files. So we'll quickly see how to convert the data into an understandable way. Now let me pick the first loan file. So here is the customer data. So your name, everything is there. Old name, new name, when it has been opened, everything. This loan file, when you have to analyze, you will quickly not be able to understand anything. Some types of the loan files would be a CSV. When it is downloaded, it would be coming into this way. Sometime when I say CSV, you can see there is a comma in the data, it would be like that. A different type of files where the loan would be into a special character. So this is a special character. So you will have to learn how do I convert it into an Excel into a columnar basis. If you know there is a pattern that from one column to other column there is a pattern, you will use that to split the data. If you think that there is no pattern, I only see gaps, so you will have to find manually apply columns to the data. Like in your Excel, you can go and open the file. Let me just open both the files. And by the way, my session was supposed to start at 4 to 6. You guys came back from the tea break at 5. So now don't look at the watch and say, sir, it's 6 o'clock. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Anyhow, don't worry, another 15 minutes I'll complete. Is it okay? 15 minutes? You can hold. So the loan file, and sorry madam, another 15 minutes. So let me open the first file. By the way, when you try to open the file, it will not show you the list of the files. On the right side bottom, there is something called all files. You will have to select all files, then you will be seeing the list of the files. You can just select the file that you want to open. It will ask, it will come into this wizard called the 3-step wizard, converting it into the data. So I have opened a file, the first one, where there is no delimiter like comma or pipe, nothing of that. When you don't know that there is a special character to segregate, use a fixed width. When you know there is a special character using which you can segregate, use delimiter. So we'll use both. First we'll go to fixed width. So I am using fixed width, and this is how the data is. So let us, I'll say next. Here is the data that is there. I have to manually now create columns. I have to manually create columns. So this is my first column. Now I can adjust the column also. Most of the times the way the behavior is, if there is a number, you have to apply column to the end, because number is always the right element. So numbers will increase. So I know this is a number, this is a number. If it is a text, I cannot apply here because it is increasing. So if I know there is a text, I can actually just put something here. So I can do it. So I can do things like this. So this is a date. I exactly know the date is here to here. You can apply. So it's like you're clicking. If you think that you have wrongly clicked, double click, it will go off. If you think you have clicked here, don't worry, just select it and move it. You will be able to adjust the data and you will be able to create everything. So I've just created the columns and finish. So you can see now the data has automatically come into Excel. Now the next thing that you have to do when you get the data, you make sure that sheet name which is there, you can change it as raw data, whatever, and just create a copy of it. Right click, create a copy and start working on this. Because when you are working something, you will lose the data. You always have the raw data from which you can copy and do the workaround. Your job is to make sure this data is in a readable, understandable way. Yeah, so right now this is not in an understandable way. All that you have to first do is ensure your headers are proper. So adjust the columns, and there's a serial number, old account number. So this is your old account number, new account number. So product customer name C has gone. So get your headings properly in the date, TE is missing. So here is your rate of interest, liability. So you have headers proper. Freeze this data. Now you don't need anything above this. You don't need anything above this. So always freeze the first line so that you know what you are seeing. And now clean up the data. Apply the filters, and wherever you have blanks, and so the customer name, if you see customer name is jumped, one line below the customer name went off. So you have to get your customer name one line above, and the date is improper. The amount and customer name has gone one line below, so you got to get it one line above. So I'm just saying Alt ED. So I'm coming here, I'm just moving one cell up. So all the names have come properly. The amount, liability, I'm moving up. So the names, everything has come properly. So now you can see whether the blanks can be removed. Yeah, reasonably you can see all the blanks can be removed. So before you're removing, ensure all the data is proper, intact. But there is a product number, so you need a product number. You can't ignore that. So you again make sure that you select unwanted information and clean the data. So remove those cells, automatically data gets cleaned, and what you will be seeing is at least now some data which is reasonable. Even these lines that are there, you don't require. So lines, number of accounts, total. So wherever you think that this will not be required, you can start cleaning the data. Once you clean the data, right? So that is when you can actually start doing the data analysis. So now you can see some reasonably the data has been cleaned. Yeah. Now you can see some sensible thing which is coming up. Then you can now start using the other things which you have learned. Like for example, this is product 601. All right. So you have to apply this, the product name called 601. They will have an internal documentation. 605 is what 60. So each documentation they would be having a code for 605. What is the code? So you can just quickly apply a VLOOKUP and get it. You can apply the number, everything into this. For example, if I have to say what is the product code, the last person, is this visible to you? Person at the last. Yes, no, maybe. Not visible. So it is like this. Okay. Now, can you quickly tell me, there's a product number here, 6603657. Yeah. All these products belongs to, this is the number. Now, after I come down, let's also remove this number of accounts. So if I come down, you can see the 6603. So these products, these customers belong to this product. Yes, no, maybe. Yes or no? Now, how do you tell the system that wherever it is blank, you apply this product? So again, you should be knowing some if functions. For example, very simple thing. If there is a number, then you take the number. If there is no number, you take this number. Yeah. So now I do this. Let's just come up to this. Now can you see system automatically understands and takes the data? Yeah. So that is why it's very essential that you know the functionality of an if. Yeah. Then the next thing which is also important is how do you manipulate with the date. The dates always I would recommend whenever this date is there, change the date into your, right now if you see the date, this is into 2 digits. In your custom, you can select, I want it as, when people at bank, yeah, I want to select this as DD MMM YY, 3 M's. Yeah, so you can set that. So the moment you do it, you can automatically see something which is visible. Yeah. And if this loan is opened in say Jan 1, which is the year the loan has been opened? 2001, which financial year? 99, 2000. 2000, 2001. How will system know? How will you tell that to system? How will you tell that to system? Why do I need this now? Of course you would be needing. You are doing an audit as on 31st March 22 of all the loans. Some loans have become NPA, some are in D1, D2, whatever category. What is the pattern of lending? How many housing loans have been sanctioned this year? How many vehicle loans have been sanctioned this year? Of which sanctioned, which have become NPA? What type of loans are becoming NPA? Am I in an agricultural belt? If I'm in an agricultural belt, what are the circulars that are issued? You also need to know the pattern. Most of the times there would be a drought hit area. So drought, you also need to know which year the drought is there. You definitely need to know that, right? So there's no question you should ask as to why I should do it. Like you are asked to do it. So what are the inferences I can get it when I'm doing it is what you should be knowing. So again, a simple, easy way of doing is the date lookup. You can quickly say my start date. Now, 1st April 95. Again, always make sure you put this into 3 M's so that you get the visibility properly. Okay, what will be the end date for it? 31st March 96. How will the system know if I have to say I will use end of the month? 11 months from now. So I don't need to specifically say 365, 360 dates. Now you are wondering number, system has converted into the number, put it into a date format. So it's 31st March 96. What will be the next year? I can just say plus 1, right? Yes or no? And end date is the same. And this year is, you can say year 1995, and you can use concatenate also, and year 96. Yeah. So it has prepared 95, 96, various things. So whatever the period, it has prepared all the things. So your data for all the years is ready. So all that you will do is create this into one data which you understand. What is this? In the left side, you can define this. Okay, this is my year table list. Make sure you don't give any space in it. So all that you will be doing is in the format you want to know year, the sanction year, right? So I will say the sanction year, simple VLOOKUP, select this. What was the name we have given that? Some year. As I'm typing, you can see that this name is coming up here, and it is there in my third column, and I don't need an exact match. It will be falling somewhere here. So I'll say approximate match. So is this correct? November is in 2000, 2001. So Now can you see this automatically has prepared the sanction years. Now when you apply a pivot of it, you will automatically know which are the loans sanctioned in which year. So let's quickly see the data. So let me just, so I'm just applying a pivot to this data. So I'm just saying my sanction year in my rows and my whatever is the liability. So you can clearly see you are in a branch where so there are totally 27 crores is the branch portfolio, and the loans have been sanctioned, as you can see some 2003-4 loan is also there. So now you prepared a simple cluster, you got some fair view. Then I can apply a product as one more filter, you will get to know where the data is. So having the knowledge of these different formulas are going to be essential. Without that, you can definitely not do anything, right? So this is what I wanted to actually take you through today's session. Any doubts to anyone? Any questions? So if there are no questions, there are questions in the chat. Please share the PPT link. Now question is not to me. Total exposure for the calculation of above 10 crore limit outstanding as on 31st March 3, outstanding at any point during the period of the audit. Bhaskar, I am not clear with your question. Okay. And there's no questions here. Any questions you guys have? 6 o'clock over. We are eager to leave. So Triple R can be there tomorrow also, don't worry. All right. So on this note, we end the session, and I wish all of you a happy bank branch audit. Yeah, thank you.
That was an excellent session. It has been a great learning and plenty of takeaway for all of us. I'd like to thank CA Venugopal for such an amazing session. I request CA Shripad to present a memento to CA Venugopal. I'd like to take this opportunity to make a small announcement. For CA Intermediate registrations, coaching classes registration have been started. So people who are interested can enroll themselves and avail this benefit. The dates and schedules are put up on the notice boards. You can go through them. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite CA Kavita Pamesh to deliver the vote of thanks to wind up the session formally. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Well, it's been a day of good learning. I hope all of you enjoyed the day thoroughly. I mean, I would like to thank CA Venugopal G. The title of the session was Play with Excel, and Sir is actually playing with Excel. So fantastic, and thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invite and being here. Throughout the day, we had our chief guest, CA Anand Krishna here, and then the speaker, the first technical section speaker, is our Raghunath sir, and also Udupi Vikram, who addressed on the bank lending. I would like to take this opportunity to thank them too here. And also the previous session, which was on the LFAR, that was also a very fantastic session, and thank you to the speaker, the CA Veerabasana Shivappa. It was very good learning. I hope people, most of you are here who are doing are looking at the LFAR for the first time, and I think he did give it in short to you, but how much you have taken is what we are looking at now. And of course, the day wouldn't have been so successful without your active participation. So I thank you all the participants here who are here in person and also virtually who have joined. Most importantly, your officers, your principal who have given this, allowed you guys to be here. Of course, it's very important that you learn and the work there can go smoothly. So thank you to all those principals who have allowed you to be here. The most important person leading the branch now, CAT Srinivas, he has helped us and guided and enabled this seminar today. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank him too. Further, the entire staff of Bangalore branch of SIRC here who have been working tirelessly to make this happen. So I would like to take this opportunity and thank each one of them. And of course, my co-opted members, Sripad is here, Tupad, and all the managing committee members who have supported and guided me to organize this event. And thank you, everybody. So I thank you and have a good evening to all of you. Sorry, my apologies. The MCs, throughout the day, the students who have taken this event so well and made all of you to be awake by their active MCing. So I would like to thank all the students who have participated actively and took the ceremony, been the master of ceremony. Of course, Surabhi is not here. Surabhi, Sahana, Aditya Bhatt, Tara, Tashwini, Apurva, Amruta, and Bhavana. Thank you so much. Maunesh and Bhaskar, of course, they have been working at the back end. I don't know how many times I've called them at late in the night, but they have never said no to me and they've done what they had to do. Thank you so much. Thank you.